Welcome to Tech Blueprint, a window that lets you know the latest technology news in the world. Of all chip categories, memory chips are arguably the most widely used, accounting for roughly 1/3 of the global chip market. This is because memory chips have the widest application range, encompassing virtually all electronic devices across various fields. However, the global memory chip market is largely monopolized by American, Japanese, and Korean companies. For many years, China relied heavily on imports. When Chinese companies achieved breakthroughs through hard work, the US imposed sanctions, but this was unable to halt the surge in domestic memory production. The two most widely used memory chips are DRAM, used for temporary data storage, and NAND, used for long-term data storage. Other memory chip categories exist, but their share is smaller. To date, American, Japanese, and Korean companies still hold the majority of the global memory chip market share. For example, in the second quarter of this year, the top 5 global DRAM market players were SK hynix, with a 38.7% share, Samsung, with a 32.7%, and Micron, with a 22% share. Samsung, which previously held the top spot in the DRAM market, has been surpassed by SK hynix for 2 consecutive quarters this year. The reason is that DRAM memory contains a chip called HBM, which is essential for today's AI chips. SK hynix has been developing HBM for years, gaining a leading edge in technology, and holding approximately 90% of the global HBM market share. The surge in demand for NVIDIA's AI chips has led to a significant revenue increase for SK hynix, but Samsung's HBM technology is lacking, leading to its overtaking. However, Samsung still holds the top spot in the global NAND market. In the second quarter of this year, the top 5 NAND companies were Samsung with 32.9%, SK hynix with 21.1%, KXA with 13.5%, Micron with 13.3%, and SanDisk with 12%. Taking these data together, the top 3 global DRAM companies account for 93.4% of the market share, and the top 5 global NAND companies account for 92.8%. It can be seen that the global memory chip market is still dominated by foreign companies, with the top few being American, Japanese, and Korean companies. Samsung and SK hynix are Korean companies, each holding over half of the market share. Micron and SanDisk are American, and KXA is Japanese. Keep in mind, this was the situation after China's domestic memory chip industry broke through. Previously, foreign companies held a larger market share. Before China had domestic memory chips, they arbitrarily raised prices, often causing factory fires and subsequent price increases. To break the foreign monopoly, domestic memory manufacturers spent years grappling with it. Changjin Memory specializes in DRAM memory, while Yangtze Memory specializes in NAND flash memory. Finally, they broke through in the past few years and have since worked hard to expand production, securing a small market share. It's worth noting that some of China's memory technologies have reached global leadership. For example, Yangtze Memory launched the world's first 232-layer 3D NAND chip at the end of 2022, surpassing giants like Samsung, SK hynix, and Micron. But when Chinese memory manufacturers began accelerating their production expansion, the United States began to hinder the development of domestic memory. In October 2022, the United States introduced its strictest export control policy ever, for the first time including memory chips within the restricted scope. The restrictions were set for DRAM with advanced process nodes below 80 nanometers and 3D NAND with nodes above 128 layers. The sudden U.S. move against domestic memory chips may be related to Micron, an American company that had been lobbying the U.S. government. Furthermore, the U.S. added Yangtze Memory Technologies to the Export Control Entity List at the end of 2022. These U.S. actions prevented Chinese memory manufacturers from purchasing advanced equipment, severely impacting the expansion of Chinese companies. This has indeed posed a significant challenge for Chinese memory companies, as much of their equipment comes from U.S. companies like Applied Materials, Lam Research, and KLA-Tencor. Consequently, domestic memory production expansion has been halted, allowing Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron to quickly surpass them. However, Chinese memory manufacturers have also been working diligently alongside domestic equipment manufacturers to accelerate domestic equipment substitution. Relevant news indicates that Yangtze Memory Technologies' equipment localization rate has reached 45%, making it the highest among domestic companies. Yangtze River Memory Technologies is reportedly developing its first fully domestically produced equipment production line, with trial production planned for the second half of 2025. The latest news is that Yangtze Memory Technologies Phase 3 company has officially been established with registered capital of 20.72 billion renminbi. It will develop 3D NAND flash memory tools based on domestically manufactured equipment, not only to meet domestic market demand, but also to compete internationally. Yangtze River Memory's global market share is said to have reached 7%, and with accelerated capacity expansion, it is expected to rise to 15% by 2026. Foreign media have commented that the U.S. sanctions have been completely lifted, and mainland China's storage industry is accelerating its breakthrough.